Do as much filming in one day and then post them all. That's my philosophy. Just dropped off my doggo. Thought I'd give you guys another story. From the hotel chain. So I was back up here. There we go. So one of the reasons I left the hotel chain was their complete lack of care for the family. Now, like I said, one of these days I might release the name of the hotel chain, but I want to be sure that I can avoid, you know, a lawsuit I can't win. So, working for this hotel chain, let's just call it, assholes. So I worked for assholes for a while, and one Saturday, I worked Friday through Tuesday, so I had Wednesdays, Thursdays off, and it was so one Saturday, I'm going on break, and I got a call from my mom that my aunt had died. And to be honest with you, while it wasn't completely sudden, it was still sudden to us, right? My aunt was on oxygen and everything, and so she was really susceptible to things like pneumonia and other things that would cause your lungs to act up. And it was very sad for me because of my dad's family, very few of them actually treat me and my mom like we're family, and my Aunt Jenny was one of those people. So, like I said before, I live in Kansas, and my Aunt Jenny lived in California. And by proxy, that's where the rest of the family and the funeral was. So I couldn't go to the funeral because my job, I couldn't go to the funeral because, you know, I didn't have the money to go, and you got to give them like a few weeks notice and things like that, all this other bullshit. So I told my job, I said, my aunt just died. I got to go home. I got to be with my mom and dad because they're going to be leaving for the funeral, and I want some time to grieve with them and spend with them. And my dad was really close to my aunt as well, so I want to make sure he's okay. They said, okay. They sent me home. Now, when you do not plan to go home, you get what's called an attendance hit. I'm sure most people's jobs have this. Jobs do it in different ways. The way assholes did it was you had 80 hours in an entire year. You had 10 days, 80 hours to miss. It's kind of bullshit, but you know, we'll go with it. So there was no getting hours back. If you missed hours, it didn't matter what kind of excuse you had. If they weren't planned, you missed them. Again, bullshit, because shit happens. But you know, what do I know? I don't get paid to make bad decisions. So, so I took the Saturday, I went home, spent some time with my family. The next day I was still feeling kind of down, went ahead, spent some more time with my family, rested up. On Monday I went back to work. Now my thought process is, my aunt just died. Everybody knows what it's like to lose someone close to you. I'm going to go talk to HR. So I go to HR, and I talked to the main lady, and I said, you know, I'm not asking for pay for those days. You know, I understand I didn't work. I don't deserve to be paid. I completely understand it. That's not what I'm asking for. All I'm asking for is that my attendance gets circumvented. I get those hours back because, being completely honest, it's not my fault I had the miss. You know, you can't expect me to come sit here at work when my aunt just died. So I tell her my aunt died. So she goes, so how close were you two? I was like, well, it's my aunt. And she goes, so it's not a close relative. How do you know that? Maybe me and my aunt fucked. You don't know. You don't know how close we were. What kind of a stupid fucking statement is that? Yeah, for all you know, my aunt was like my mother. Maybe my mother wasn't in the picture and my aunt raised me. What kind of asshole goes, so you and your relative weren't close? What? So then she says, well, Saturday and Sunday. I said, yeah. She goes, well, if we'd have known in advance, we could have switched your days off. I was like, did you just tell me to predict when my aunt would suddenly die? I mean, she wasn't in the hospital laid up and people were like, oh, this might be her last day. No, her fucking son came home and found her on the floor, dead. They found her on her kitchen floor, dead. This wasn't a planned event. We didn't all get around and say, okay, on Saturday, we're gonna pull the plug on Auntie. Everyone's gonna come. We're gonna bring some balloons, give her favorite meal. It'll be like an execution. No, it happened suddenly. But you know, so she's like, well, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. You know what? Cool. Next time, I'll just get out my magic crystal ball and predict when one of my close relatives is going to suddenly drop dead. Hey, you know what? My dad's got leukemia. Maybe I can go and get a psychic. They can tell me when he's going to drop dead and I'm going to have a mental breakdown. Then we could just switch my days off. Because that's how that works, right? Fucking swear.